Yep.
Good to go.
All right, we are live. Let's get a split. St. Patty's Day special edition. Let's see if we can get Scheze. There he is.
Yes, sir.
St. Patty's Day special edition. Let's see if we can get Scheze. All right, good. So we are
Yes, sir.
We are up and we are using a new platform today. So excuse me for the echo. I'm going to see if I can figure out where that's coming from. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Got YouTube open.
Yeah, YouTube is open. There it is. And I've muted my other one. All right, we are live today, boys and girls, and we are on for the St. Patty's Day special. This is the best I got because, frankly, I didn't go out for St. Patty's Day. I was too busy flying home after a nice week out west. So how about you, Scheze? How you doing today?
Yes, I'm doing well. We had to push from our normal schedule on a Thursday evening. We apologize for that, but we're back now. We're ready to get after it. Let's make this thing less cryptic, shall we?
Shall we indeed? Welcome to the correction episode 4. Today we're going to take a look at some of the fundamental side of the crypto space as it differs greatly from legacy markets. Many would have surely not even call it fundamental analysis. So I'd like to get into a little bit about what I call fundamental analysis in the crypto space, and also take a look at one of these coins that we believe might be looking to rip some faces off in Q2
Right.
this year. Now, Scheze will tell you, I'm super excited about this coin because it is at the top of my list, has been since probably late 2017, right when it ICO'd, and it has never left the top of my list. And then today he said, look at this coin. We should talk about that. I didn't even have to bring it up.
When both of us agree on a coin, it's something to pay attention to.
That's right. And Scheze, maybe you could tell us a little bit about, I know you're not much of a fundamental guy. In fact, you are a zero fundamentals guy.
That's correct.
You're a chart hunter, period. TA 100% on the spectrum of trading. So maybe you could explain a little bit about why, because
absolutely
I don't get it, and I want you to tell me why.
So in my experience, right, we all want to own Amazon from the ground, right? Because Amazon, multi-billion-dollar company now, but it wasn't always that way. And so what we do is we look at the Amazon charts today, and we're like, man, if I would have bought low and sold high, then I'd be up a ton of money. The issue is with that, in my opinion, it's hard to know which ones become Amazon and which ones fall by the wayside, right? So it's hard to know, in my opinion, which ones are going to be those bangers, long-term investments. And then just from the trading perspective, I prefer to be in and out of trades relatively quickly. I don't want to hold anything through the long term. I believe there's because you can make money on the moves up and the moves downs, as opposed to holding for the long term. You're really just waiting and hoping the news comes out, or hoping that some report comes out that kind of boosts you to the top. And I realized that doing it my way, that you're going to miss a lot, right? And so the idea is that if you make more money if you just buy and forget, right? If you hodl and forget about it. But that may be the case, but in my experience as a trader, if I'm not making trades, then what am I doing here?
Yeah, and I think, and it just actually occurred to me while you were speaking that, your experience in the space wasn't, I think sometimes depending on what part of the timing you get in on a market cycle,
right,
you can develop a different understanding of how to play the market. I know, in 2017, it was like, hodl, everyone who's hodled is rich. And then 2018, it was like, hodlers are idiots, man. They lost all their money.
All of it.
And so I think, there's a lot to be said for just trading, because as a trader, you can make money in all market cycles.
Exactly.
And hey, if some of these coins that drop 95% go on to make, 50,000% gains in the next 10 years, holders will be like, yeah, we were right. But there's no guarantees in that sense. There's no guarantees in anything, but at least with trading, I guess you get a bit more control.
Right. Absolutely. And your money is not tied up. Right. And so you're able to get in and out of things rather quickly. And it plays zero effects on your emotions. because you're no longer just waiting. It's not outside of you. It's you really own, like you said, you own a lot more of the control. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you stay liquid. And one of the things that I hated about the start of 2018, when I hadn't really decided how I wanted to play, the potential drop in that, I'd already pulled out, what I thought was enough. I pulled out an amount where I was like, now, no matter what happens, I'll feel great. But
Right.
of course, you watched maybe twice as much as that, go
Disappear.
to dust.
Yeah.
And it was an ugly feeling waking up in the morning and kind of hoping and praying that, your Blockfolio would refresh positively. And I got to say, now that I've taken on more of a trade in and out type approach, I sleep like a baby. And,
Yes.
and you get alerts to tell you where you're at, and you just come up with a system. Now, having said that, I still have a hold portfolio based on sort of net cost zero coins that I had taken profits on in 2017. I don't really look at it much. I keep tracking it. I have actually got 3 ports, and that's a little bit more to do with a trading plan episode that we could have soon, but it's basically one for margin against USD, one for altcoins against BTC, and one just to hold and not really look at. So,
okay. Interesting.
So my biggest bag in that hold port is Aeon. And today we are going to dive into Aeon. And it's funny because it actually wasn't even my idea. And
that's true.
Maybe just before we get into a quick slide on some fundamentals, how'd you like to just sort of wet our whistle with a little bit about what you saw today?
Sure. Well, before we do dive into that, I just want to read a quick disclaimer. The information provided by Bitcoin Bravado and accompanying material is for informational purposes only and should not be used as a basis for any investment or other purposes. It should not be considered legal or financial advice. The information is governed by our terms of use. You should consult with an attorney or other professional to determine what may be best for your individual needs. We are not a registered investment advisor, and we are not recommending that you buy anything. We're simply sharing our thoughts with you along with our plan of attack. And with that, we will get into the chart.
Not one breath. That was slick. All right.
Let's go.
Killing it. All right. Let's take a look. Let's see. First time sharing a screen on here.
Let's see if it works.
You can do it. Yeah. All right. Nice.
All right. You in?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So here we are looking at the Aeon BTC pairing on the monthly chart. As you can see, I've drawn some meme lines of some sort of descending triangle of sorts, I think. All of that just to show that we this coin definitely took some hits, had some hard months in the summer of last year, but as you can see, since about November, December area, that sell-off has begun to slow down dramatically, and this is now we've still got some time left in the month of March to see if we can get a green candle here.
Now, if I may, from a fundamental point of view, that actually makes perfect sense. One of the things I loved about Aeon is they did a TRS token release schedule. Part of their ICO in the pre-sale, they basically raised all the money they felt they needed. So instead of having a public ICO, they instead put all those tokens into a pool, and they released them to anyone who sent their Aeon tokens into a contract, like a smart contract. And that was meant to be released on the month, every month for 12 months. Until November 2018. So you can see right there at the end of 2018.
That was the last big drop. Absolutely.
Yeah. And there was millions of tokens being essentially given away. As somebody who got in on TRS, I was pumped. I mean, I loved it, but it was crazy because, some of those, like when we first started getting TRS, it was like getting 5K a month, for life. We were like laughing. And then by the last TRS drop, I think it was worth like $250.
Oh my goodness. So yes, all that to say that based upon the chart, it looks like the sell-off momentum has come to a halt. We'll have to just see whether or not the brakes have been applied enough to send this thing in reverse the other direction. So as always, I always like to start on the highest time frame chart and then zoom in from there. So with that, we'll head over to the weekly chart here. As you can see, I've got now some levels on here, levels of significant price action. Of course, when this coin first hit the market on Binance, it dropped down to this 2,500 area, popped up the new all-time highs again, held back in about this time last year, March, April area, bounced again, and finally fell through it. And then once you lost that area, this in June, once you lost like this support area, then it took quite a while for it to find a new support. In about August, you got a little bit of a bounce here around the 550, 600 area.
Then the 6K drop from Bitcoin. That's that next drop there.
Yes. Which, if it comparatively, this isn't that bad. Percentage-wise, I think if you would have held this through the drop as opposed to Bitcoin versus the US dollar, you would be up percentage-wise for sure. So nothing too exciting here on the weekly. We recently lost this level of support that I don't have marked here around 320 sats. But this is a key level on the weekly. This was where we found the first support back in November. And then we've actually just recently came down and touched it this week. So things get a little bit more exciting the farther down you drill. So we'll head into the daily here. Again, I've left these lines on. If we were to enter long, these would be the target areas, these green lines. I've drawn this, again, this sort of descending wedge triangle that is often an indication that momentum is slowing down, preparing for a reversal. Which when you get to the end of this here around March the 8th, we do bust through it. But more importantly than just that, we have actually closed the daily above this 359, 360 area, which was the last spot of resistance before hitting new lows around 275 sats. I recently closed above it. We're coming back down here into support. So lastly, I'll just zoom into the 4-hour chart and we'll stop there. We've sort of got this uptrend wedge starting, and this kind of reminds me, if you remember a few weeks ago, we reviewed KNC, and then almost the day after, 2 days after we reviewed KNC, it went for 60 to 80% gains from current price. So this is actually reminding me a lot of there. If I was to look for an entry, it'd probably be this purple line area, 335, but we may not get there if this orange line holds. So again, if you were going to go long on this coin, anywhere between 350 down to about 327 would probably be a solid area to get in. And again, you're looking at first target of 550. You'll see this daily doji coin here on November the 18th has already been tested as resistance. So it may provide, slight slowing of upward momentum before hitting these next spots.
I find sometimes when those areas get tested, on the next time up, it goes a little higher.
Yeah, it'll usually wick through it. Yeah, absolutely.
So we may be looking at that green line then for sort of a TP1 if we were going to get in.
Yeah, 550 would be my area because as you can see, once we close below it on November the 15th, we have yet to come back on the daily time frame and sort of test that level. And then this next target of 619, 620 area is this doji here. It's sort of the midpoint of where that day closed on November the 10th. So I would look to take off some profit there. And as you can see, if you look left for context, you've got major support here for over a week. Once again here. And that's what you're wanting to look for as far as take profit areas or stop losses, as well as if major support or resistance is broken and not retested.
Yeah, and where fibs are concerned, actually, I might just quickly share what I got here.
All right, I'll switch it over here.
Share screen, yeah. I'll fire up a quick share here. Aeon, there it is. All right, you see me loud and clear here?
I do, yes, sir.
Perfect. So I've got a slightly different trend line up from on the 4 hour. So if you zoom out just to get a little context here, we're down here. Now, I'll be honest, as an Aeon sort of watchdog, I actually got in a little bit here at 291 when it went to these new lows. I was like, and then I was risking, to about like 10%. So a little bit in there, but I'd like to get a nice proper trade and actually build on a longer term position in this area, which is sort of why we came in to talk about fundamentals today.
Yes.
However, with this trend line here would have been confirmed on this breakout as far as market structure goes. So when you have a trend line you're trying to draw, you draw the low to the next low, and then you click extend right here. If you ever want to try this yourself, you extend, and then that trend line is not valid until you get bullish market structure that breaks out. In this case, what you'd call inverse head and shoulders, double bottom, that kind of bullish market structure. And once that breakout happens, this trend line is now valid until broken through.
Now, what's interesting is your trend line there kind of matches up with my entry around the 334 area. If we were to dump within, or at least swing back down for another little low here within the next few days.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I'm if I'm being greasy, I might look to get a gold box entry right here.
Yeah.
Ideally. And it's, it's nice when you hit those because there's nothing better than having tight stops and max RR.
Right.
If,
And then
again,
the longer you wait, as if price is heading the direction you want it to go, then that is just less risk you have to carry on as well, because it's a lot closer to stop loss. Absolutely.
That's right. And well, exactly. And then you have more options, right? You're playing from a position of strength. You can add if it goes down because you got it so tight. If you get in up here, by the time you're down here, the last thing you want to do is add. You're looking to get out. So it's nice to get in on the tightest entry possible. Now, it comes down to your trading plan. For me, if this thing, I'm not too worried about Aeon. I like it a lot. So, and my trading plan allows me to take some time with this one. If you're into scalpy day trades, then obviously. So again, just checking in with yourself. If you ever need help with the trading plan, definitely jump into the Discord with us and just DM one of us. And I'm happy to sort of share how I built my own and how I'm continuing to develop it and help you get one of those going. So for me, I'm looking at the gold box over the next day. If Bitcoin takes a dive or whatever, I haven't actually checked its chart this morning. I've been kind of busy, but we may see some action down into this RLZ. But for this particular trade that I'm looking at, I don't know about you, Cheese, I'll be looking for this to hold.
Yes.
On a setup around here, I wouldn't want to hold it much below, maybe putting a stop here, which is, as an RLZ guy, I don't like stopping out inside of the reload zone, but I would probably get right back in as a
stop a little bit above with orders a little bit below, just increasing your better entry.
Yeah, I mean, do I want to take 12% just to get real cheeky? Because the upside,
the upside is phenomenal in this.
I mean, we got a heavy pivot right here. So even if we just played to that, which to me is a little bit, this is not even that ambitious to me for Aeon. I think Aeon's going to be an absolute banger someday, but that's just me. Even right there, that's still 5% or 5 RR almost on a 12%. So yeah, I like this setup. I am likely going to get in on this one shortly after the stream as far as setting bids and alerts. And then I might set an alert here. So if it does pop, I'll find out.
You'll at least know. Right.
Yeah, I'll know that my bid's missed, and then I'll be hunting, maybe a breakout retest or some kind of thing. It'll, just change the setup. So with that in mind, why don't we take a little pop into my FA slide here. So as Cheese mentioned earlier, he just focuses on the charts, which is what many people do, and it's a great way to trade. I know a lot of people, though, that prefer, including myself, prefer to look at things on sort of the back end as well. So when I talk about crypto fundamentals, I am definitely not talking about what you might sort of consider traditional FA, where you're looking at price to earnings ratios and PB ratios and quarterly earnings reports and insider buys and sells. That kind of stuff doesn't really apply to crypto yet. Anyway, some of these companies may someday get there. But for now, when I talk about crypto fundamentals, I'm really just talking about anything that is not on the chart. Okay. Anything that is not TA. Now, my old favorite, and I've talked a lot about this in the Discord, is things like echo pumps and macro narratives. And we just saw that actually on our show last week. We talked a little bit about exchange tokens. And we saw the power of that with KNC shooting up. What was it like? Was it 50 or like 200%? I don't know.
It was an insane amount.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, if you read between the lines on our show, you might have sat there and said, man, those guys aren't going in, but maybe we should look at KNC because we were showing the chart. It was pretty bullish. We joked about it being an exchange token. I honestly didn't think that it had the kind of utility that BNB, KCS, and Huobi token had. So I didn't think it might catch that.
But it worked, didn't it?
Yeah, that same wave. On that note, actually, spoiler alert, something else coming up just popped into my head. Remind me to look at Bancor. I saw, one of our members actually in the Discord shared an interesting tweet with me today in DMs, and I'm going to sort of just bring it up a little later in the show. For now, let's get into sort of where valuation comes from in crypto, because it is speculative. A lot of it just
Right.
comes from comparisons within crypto. So, as an example, the biggest one last year obviously was Ethereum, and it was driven up by ICO speculators mostly. And again, just the sort of like, oh, I miss Bitcoin, so I'm going to get in on Ethereum, and that ICO craze just drove it through the roof. I think it was like $7 or something at the start of the year, $14, and then obviously we saw it went up to about, I think it's like 1,400 at the top, right? So
Right.
now that set the bar, and so many speculators and people looking to make valuations were like, well, this platform does better than Ethereum, has more transactions, more throughput, more scalable, and Ethereum's worth this many billion, so this at 10 million is super cheap market cap. And so you realize that all of these things were really just pegged to other speculative things. And it's important to understand that. So when sort of the bubble popped on Ethereum, we saw a lot of other valuations go out the door. And now we've got companies that I would say, you hear me talk about Block Party all the time. I still can't believe it's only 1.8 million.
1.8 mil. Right. Because you're comparing that to other.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
in the space.
If you look above the list of other random air tokens that don't even have a product yet, then you look at Block Party and Box Token, and you're like, man,
this has got to go up.
These guys already have revenue, right? They've got people in New York City buying bottle service over their apps. So for me, I mean, that one's still a bit of a mystery, but to me, that's how I'd say, okay, that's undervalued or whatever. So thinking about those kind of comparisons, those macro narratives is important. Development reports, actually, I can pull one up here. This is sort of what got me thinking about this stuff. New share, playing around here with this. Oh, here it is. Nice. Is that it? You see that?
Yeah, I do see that.
All right. So here's a little dev report that came out that I got my hands on a few weeks ago. And if you look here, one of the things they're looking at basically is sort of from a code and development point of view. Page 54. So I'm going to come back to 54. I really want to start with this. This is why I like this chart. So if you have all your buddies that are like, hey, how's your crypto bags going bad? And they saw it fall off, right?
Right.
All this, like, it's a bubble, it's just a Ponzi, it's never coming back. But if you really look sort of behind the curtain here, crypto prices peaked, obviously, at this point. But if you look at the monthly active developers, they did not fall off nearly as much as sort of as a Ponzi scheme, as you would expect. In fact, the development is kind of right where it was at the price peak, and it continued going up after. And a lot of these developers don't even get paid, right? They're just developing protocols,
open source
tokens, right? And so I found that was an interesting way to kick off this report for anyone who's thinking like, was it ever going to come back? Is it dead? Well, no, there's still a ton of development going on.
There's a lot of people working on the project blockchain in general, for sure.
Yeah, and if you really want, if you want to copy this PDF, I can send it to you through the Discord. So just shoot me a DM later, and I will be sure to do that. We are going back to 54. So if we're looking at protocol activity, sort of what is being developed, who is developing, well, if you look at the commits by network value, you'll see here on the right side. Now, is my mouse coming up on the screen share?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay, perfect. So you can see here on the right side is high network value. So you got all the big big market caps like EOS, Tron, Cardano. And then the y-axis here for how many commits are coming out. You can see the higher up on this chart, that means sort of the more activity. Now, does more always mean better? No, because quality is better than quantity. However, it is one tool that you might use in an FA toolkit. And if you'll notice here, Aeon has very low network value compared to a lot of these. I think the market cap is dropped. Where is it here? I've got it. Maybe you could check out the market cap. I haven't looked at it in the last little while. Take a look at that while I continue with this. So, I mean, Aeon in this sense, I already love Aeon. I was at their Aeon X sort of, big inaugural conference last year. Spoke with the CEO, spoke with some of the team, really smart group of guys. And basically a year ago had, or a year and a half now, almost 2 years, had dove in and started looking into this project. So I'm a little rusty on the exact details right now because it's been about
The
a year.
market cap is 42 million USD.
42 million USD. So if
In
you look
perspective,
there,
that's 10,000 Bitcoin.
10,000 Bitcoin. Perfect. So it's pretty low if you look at some of this chart. But as you see here, the commits are standing out of the group compared to a lot of these other lower ones. So, let's look at another speculative one. So you've got Neo way up here. Was that maybe like 600 million market cap? And then all the way down here, tiny itty bitty Aeon actually has sort of more development taking place on the network for core code, right? Now, Neo core code development might be low because it's built. You never know. So we can actually look at the total code, which is sort of people building on top. And it's not actually that much higher. So Neo's down here, right? And then Aeon's still in its same place. So it's actually fairly similar. So this is one tool that I might use. And I'll give a shout out to the guys who made it because, I'm sure they'd appreciate that, electriccapital.com. So again, one little thing you could look at if you want to look into the background of some of the projects that you might be looking at for a longer term play, you may want to come and check out this dev report, which again, I will share if you'd like through the Discord. So one thing that kind of brought my attention back to Aeon, as this is sort of the season, in my opinion, to be looking for seeds to plant. So if you're like me and you're looking to trade just like cheese, in and out, in and out, in and out, but also on the backside, you're thinking maybe I'd like to plant a few seeds so that no matter what happens on the charts, I'll be in at this sort of what looks like, a short midterm bottom for a lot of these altcoins versus Bitcoin. Now, that could all break down and blah, blah, blah. But I'd say there's a fairly high probability that entries on strong projects this quarter will reflect well in a year or two. They will age well. As opposed to like going crazy and trying to load up your bags at the end of 2017, which didn't end so well.
Would have been a good idea.
I mean, Aeon was what I think it was about $10 to $14 at its peak. And it's right now, it's like, what is it right now on Binance? It's like 13 cents. So
it looks like at least CoinMarketCap was like $10.53. At least that's the highest I can get it. It was probably a little bit higher at one
price
point.
Discovery until it's up to $14. Like, it's got charts to sort of show that people are hitting those resistances.
Right.
So anyways, let's take a look at that Aeon chart one last time. If you want to just kind of iron out where you might make an entry if you were going to enter your trade today.
Sure, let me get my screen share back here.
And I'll take a quick peek over that Bancor stuff that I can share just after.
Perfect. All right, you on my screen?
I am.
All right, perfect. So here I've actually I've got a paper trade account here on TradingView just for giggles here. As we move forward in the show, we'll review this in the week coming. If we get picked up, I've basically got an order for 6,000 of these suckers. Aeon comes to about $800. As you can see, my starting capital is $1,000 in this paper trade account. I've got a stop loss set at 321. The bids are set at 335. We'll just see. I mean, this is one of the things is if you want to hold this long term, I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with just buying a bag at current price, not trying to squeeze out another 10 to 12 sats and just hold on to the sucker. The difference is how much do you want to actually manage it? Because if you're going to buy the bag now and then set it and forget about it, then you just need to turn it off, forget that you even own this coin, and let it ride. Or else you'll look at it and you may be down 15, 20%. But the difference is if you're in it for the long term, if you're in it for the investment opportunity to buy, so to speak, Amazon at the bottom, then just buy it now and forget about it. Or if you want to be more like me and you want to manage every single trade effectively and squeeze the most out of everything, then I have tight stop losses. I've got optimal entries. And again, I may miss this one. This thing could explode overnight up to, couple 100% even, as I mean, isn't unfamiliar in crypto space. We're starting to see that come back a bit more. These large jumps over time, just the emerging markets have a tendency to do so. My first target will be at 550, entry at 335. So let's see what that would give me here. Just for target one, that would be 63, 64%. Second spot, I'm looking for about 84%. Then ultimately, I'm looking all the way up here, 336% to kind of take this off. But ultimately, I think this is going to be a good setup. It may take a while to play out. We may come down, hit my stop loss, and then run. It's just the gamble that you take if you are a trader of the charts and not in it for necessarily the long term. But
yeah, and if you tighten that stop loss, right? If you want to play to new lows, your probability of getting stopped out go way down.
Exactly.
But then for risk management purposes, you would have to have a much smaller position.
Right.
So the benefit of a tight stop is you can kind of go heavy, right? Because then you're only losing 1% of a huge.
Exactly. You can go all in. I think this trade is all in. Yeah, this trade
all
is
in, but
$819 worth of fake money here. The stop loss is about 3% loss on $800. So $34 loss if it's tagged out. This is relative to Bitcoin price, obviously. So we'll see, man. Keep this account open. We'll check in on it Thursday on our next video. But overall, we're just gonna let this baby ride. We're just sit back and relax now.
Beauty. And did we just kind of let out a little spoiler for Paper Trade Paradise?
I think we might have, man. Let's
tell
them about
segment. Yeah, brand new segment that we've got coming up starting next week, where we are going to use the Paper Trade account feature on TradingView, which is a great way to learn how to trade and a great way to vet your setups before risking your hard-earned capital. Highly recommended to start with paper trading. Less sexy, less exciting, but once you know you're profitable with your strategy or your trade setup, then you can go confidently into the market, not worrying about.
Correct. I would rather lose fake money than real money.
Yeah. So, obviously I trade with my live portfolio, and I believe Scheze does as well. But the idea of using a sort of a paper trade account as a tool, if you have a new idea and you're not like, wow, I don't want to go too crazy, just fire up a paper trade account. You can give yourself $10,000 of fake fun and just test it out. That's a new tool actually that Scheze has introduced me to. So we're going to check it out on Thursday a little bit more in depth. For now, we are somewhat coming up at the end of our half hour. I just want to take a quick look at a tweet that was shared with me in the Discord today. I better just pull it up here on the share so y'all can see it. Let's see, where's Twitter? Boom, 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 boom. There it is. So many windows. All right.
There it is.
So right here, box mining today. Whoops. That's brutal. There it is. So Bancor put out a tweet about 5 hours ago talking about millions of mobile phone users now having access to the Bancor and BNT in the Engine wallet on Samsung's new Galaxy S10.
Look at that.
That has sort of been the flavor of Q1, more in the February, March region. But really, S10 has now just big support for blockchain and other cryptos. And through their wallet and the Engine wallet, you can now access BNT, which is sort of a token swap protocol for ERC20 tokens. So is BNT going to get a boost in the chart? Well, let's find out. BNT.
And they had a pretty big pop right off the news there.
Yeah, I saw that this morning actually. Nice little
13%, 14% little gain.
And it's already retraced. So, kind of like that. Am I here? Yeah, that was my old chart. That was Aeon. Good. Okay, so let's have a look. I'll start at the daily just to get a zoom. I never usually go all the way back like y'all guys.
All the way, man. All the way.
I don't know. I'm not much of a monthly, weekly guy. Well, it should be, I guess. Weekly. Yeah, if you want to talk about sweeping lows, you could definitely say that this one was
swept.
Swept. Now you go into the daily. This is quick and dirty because we are
interesting on that volume candle is somebody must have known about this news before it was public 5 hours ago. As you can see, the volume is massive.
Now, that was probably more centered around the Engine announcement.
Okay.
This might be your insider candle. Holy, I remember that one too.
They were running that sucker up.
I had one of my little sort of sell half on a double orders working on this on just a very tiny position.
Did it hit?
No, it came close. Look at that.
Real close.
Oh yeah. So I got an alert, a semi sort of get ready alert, and it didn't hit my 100% mark. slightly disappointing, but it's patience in this game. So here we go.
That's true.
So that's probably your insider bar. This would be around the engine announcement, which was a few weeks ago. And now we're seeing sort of a connection to Bancor more pronounced. What do you see as far as trade setups go?
Yeah, I'm looking. What's crazy in crypto is the massive wicks, right? I'm just looking what day
Well, it's
was
low
it.
volume. This, I mean,
Right.
arguably
So,
a shit coin, but we'll see. I don't think
like back in the end of January, you had that massive dump all the way down to 3,800s there.
Yeah.
Overall, though, like if I'm ignoring that as almost like a misprint, you're right. The lows have been swept. They're around 14,000. I'd say overall it looks pretty good. We gained back on that engine news. Let's
You know
see.
me, I always draw a fib before I get wet. And if you look here, we are sitting in the reload zone. So you get a nice breakout on volume. Typically, what I would do is wait for that to settle, draw your fib from the low point to the high point, and then hunt for entries down in this reload zone area.
If I'm looking for targets, I'm probably looking around 34, or no, not 34. Let's see.
Let me get it. Let me get
23,000. The high of January the 6th. I would probably look at this target one. A little bit higher than what they got a few days ago, but overall, I mean, it looks good. I mean, low volume is concerning, I think, for anyone that is playing with any sort of volume in the group.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running tight stops, if you're using tight stops, the low volume stuff sucks because you can just get wicked so easily. Let's see how the volume is trending with a quick peek at the OBV. We'll see. I have a feeling it's been trending up. Yep. Let's take a look. Oh no, I have a better one. Favorites. It's got a little bit of a EMA right in it. Gross.
Still gross.
Still gross. Yeah, volume's pretty
low volume.
What is you get a cleaner look at these? Maybe up in the daily, it'll give us a better picture. There it is. It's a little better.
Yeah.
We're seeing some divergence, right here. So this actually is a sweet tool because it shows you divergences that are automatically drawn in. So when you get things like price going down, my extension's still on there, but you get things like price going down while OBV is going up, it will actually draw the divergence for you. It'll indicate that there was one. And
right. You've got the 24-hour volume currently sitting at about 1,700 Bitcoin.
Oh, look at that. Whoa. Look at this. It was hiding.
Yes.
So, yeah, volume did spike heavily. And on that kind of a volume breakout off of a low, that was swept with bullish double bottom market structure breakout. Now we're sitting back in the RLZ. I like this as a trade setup. This is really what I look for.
What's interesting is your fibs and how well they work out with my just randomly placing horizontal lines on the chart. Your 0.702, the green line there, the
sweet spot
15292. If you look to the left, that's actually sitting on top of that daily candle. No, not that far. Just about 10 candles back from the pump. Yep, right there. So that fib actually matches up pretty close with the top of that daily candle there. So
yeah,
I've actually work out.
I noticed that it aligns really well with supply and demand levels as well, these fib things.
Yes.
And I see, Jack and Don often like to use the supply and demand OBs, order blocks, and all that. And often, because you can draw this the other way, you can draw the fib from the top down to that low here.
Right.
Sort of your short reload zone. And you can do that on a higher time frame, obviously. But even right here, I might just hunt a little trade right here today with, let's see, what are we at right here? Risk to the bottom, a little below RLZ. It's actually just below this MA as well. A little extra protection. And then look, you're just taking a profit right here at that little RLZ zone. And you're getting 21%. Yeah, you're still getting a 2.6 RR. And this one could resolve, today or this weekend. This week.
21% is huge, by the way. I know we're in crypto and it doesn't seem like it's huge, but
only 21.
Go back and look at those traditional markets and see how much they're increasing year over year. And
it's brutal. Yeah, no, I don't think it could ever go to legacy after getting started in crypto. So, so that's just a tiny little quick and dirty. If I was hunting TPs up here and we really are going to see some adoption through all the millions of S10 users, then, you could venture as far as these RLZs up here,
correct,
which kind of align with some old SR levels there. So, yeah, what do we got there? Let's see. quick
right
and
on the money
dirty.
there.
Not sure I got that bottom level correct, but look at that. I mean, we're
Somewhere
looking
around 300%.
couple of hundreds of percents around. Probably going to take a few stops at these pivots, but yeah,
Overall, it looks pretty good, man.
I like Bancor. And if S10 is going to be the hype cycle of the spring, then this one is going to be a part of it. So I think we'll have to dive out of here for now and maybe check out our own trade channels in the Discord for
Absolutely.
specifics as far as how I want to attack this. But
see if we can't get as a reminder this past week as a Bravado group, we have we really hit some bangers this week with XLM, OMG, KNC, KMD. It's been a great. It's been a good time to be a part of crypto.
Been a nice 2019, I will tell you that. And as we get more of these TPs hitting, we're obviously looking for fresh setups with some of that capital. So for me today, I will be taking an entry in the next few days on Aeon if it's coming into that gold box, as well as I'm going to hunt some BNT here because, I do have this tiny, sell half on a double play, but it's like 0.001% of my port. I want a proper one. So
you want more.
Yeah, I want more. So we're going to take a look at that offline after the broadcast. You can check us out in the Discord if you'd like to be a part of that discussion. And with that, I think we better wrap up today.
Close this down here, RT.
Yeah, you guys just keep nursing those St. Patty's Day hangovers and hope to catch you in the Discord this week. Let's see if I can stop this share here. Okay. All right, signing off. Take care, everybody. We will see you Thursday with our first official segment of Paper Trade Paradise.